Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Talking Ball podcast. My name is Chase, your host, and this is podcast number 12. We're going to be talking about NFL football, no basketball today, just a little bit of news, some head coaches, some coaching decisions being made. But that's about it for basketball because the season is over. We will be probably diving into a little free agency sooner or later, but at this point, we're just going to focus on NFL football, college football, and then any news we have. If I run short on time, we'll improvise, but hey, I'll be here for an hour at least. Make sure you guys, if you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. It takes a while to, record and edit these things, so I'd appreciate you like and subscribe. It costs nothing, helps me out a ton. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, 5 stars, whatever you do on Spotify, I'm not sure. Just listen. Listening is, very, very helpful, and I appreciate everybody tuning in. With that being said, let's get on with the podcast. So we're gonna start off with last Tuesday's game because I didn't report last podcast on it, and then we'll hop into Sunday's games and both of Monday's games. But last Tuesday, the Bills and Titans played. The Titans absolutely destroyed them. It was 42-16. Josh Allen played okay, 26 for 41, 263 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So other than the 2 picks, he didn't play bad. TJ Yeldon carried the ball 7 times for 52 yards and had 1 catch, 22 yards, and a touchdown. Diggs had 10 catches for 106 yards, and then McKenzie had 4 catches, 7 yards, and a touchdown. So a pretty bad game for the Bills. So the Titans, they had a fumble recovery from Orr. They also had 2 interceptions, both from Malcolm Butler, and 1 sack from Harold Landry. Ryan Tannehill played extremely well. 21 for 28, 195 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also ran the ball 4 times for 42 yards and a touchdown. Derrick Henry also scored the ball twice on 19 carries. Only ran for 57 yards, but had those 2 touchdowns. A.J. Brown had 7 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown. And then Jonnu Smith, their young tight end, had 5 catches, 40 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So that was from last week. Technically, we're going to get into another Titans game, and that win put the Titans at 4-0. And so now we got Sunday's games where the Texans and Titans played. The Texans looked like they were going to get their second win of the season, although the Titans did come back off a monster game from Tannehill and Henry. They were down a lot at the beginning, and then they started bringing it back, but they ended up winning 36-42. The Titans won. Texans fall to 1-5, sorry. They had 1 fumble recovery from Martin, 1 interception from Bradley Roby, and 2 sacks from Adams, and J.J. Watt had 1 each. Deshaun Watson played well, 28 for 37, 335 yards, 4 touchdowns. And even David Johnson didn't play bad, 19 carries, 57 yards, and a touchdown. Fuller had a touchdown, Fells had a touchdown, and Cooks had a touchdown. Fuller had 123 yards as well. Fells had 85 yards, and Cooks had 68. Pretty good games from Watson and their receivers. They just couldn't come through on the defensive end, with the Titans putting up another 42-point game back-to-back weeks. The Titans moved to 5-0 after this one. They are undefeated. They had 2 sacks, 1 from Simmons and 1 from Jones. Tannehill played extremely well, 30 for 41, 364 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He did have the 1 interception. Derrick Henry had 22 carries, 212 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I believe I saw that it was the only time in NFL history that a team has had a passer pass for 350 yards and a rusher run for 200 yards plus. So that's pretty cool. Ferkser had 8 catches, 113 yards, and a touchdown. Adam Humphries had a touchdown, and then A.J. Brown had 5 catches, 55 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Titans are a fun team. Fun team to watch. I like Derrick Henry. I think Tannehill is really coming into his self. The last year, it was kind of a project with him. Coming over from the Dolphins after his injury. Didn't really know how he was going to perform. He performed well, although they didn't use him much last season. It was mainly a run game, short pass game. But now, Tannehill's really stepping into that quarterback role, and this team's looking really good. Really, really good. Their defense is good. They got good receivers. They're going to be a good team. Moving on to Bengals-Colts. Bengals lose another tough one. They were up, I believe, by 20 at one point. But they ended up losing 27-31 against the Colts. Bengals fall to 1-4-1 on the season. They did have a fumble recovery from Williams and an interception from Bates, and Williams also got a sack. Joe Burrow, he's a guy that it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time to develop him. He's a rookie, just coming out of college. He still really doesn't really know how to slide properly. He's taking some big shots, and he gets sacked a lot. So Bengals just need to shore up this O-line. Maybe get Burrow some more weapons. They got T. Higgins. They got A.J. Green. I just don't really know if he wants to be there. So, honestly, maybe try to trade him. He's not getting any younger. He's not getting any younger. It's plain and simple. You got a lot of young guys around the team. Burrow, Mixon, Higgins. Maybe try to trade A.J. Green for a young guy. I don't know. Or maybe some draft picks. Something. You can get something for A.J. Green. He's a good receiver. Burrow was 25 for 39, 313 yards, and an interception. He also had a rushing touchdown. Joe Mixon, 18 carries, 54 yards, and a touchdown. And then Giovanni Bernard had 8 carries, 15 yards, and a touchdown. T. Higgins, as I was saying, 6 catches, 125 yards, and A.J. Green had 8 catches for 96. So yeah, I trade A.J. Green. I just don't think, I don't really even think he wants to be there. I saw a clip of him, that what people thought he was saying was to trade him, but who knows what he was actually saying. It did look like he said trade me, but I don't know. I would. He hasn't been really putting on the numbers that I would like to see. I know I have a young quarterback and a bad offensive line, but why not trade Green for some assets, some other assets, some O-line, some draft picks, something. Colts improved to 4-2. Blackman had the interception off of Burrow, and they had 2 sacks. DeForest Buckner had 1, and then Stallworth and Lewis combined for 1. Phillip Rivers played pretty well. Phillip Rivers has always been a good regular season quarterback. Him and Matt Stafford are kind of guys that could have arguments for MVPs pretty much every season. They just don't win. And Phillip Rivers is winning decently right now. Stafford isn't, but there are always guys that can put up MVP-like numbers. He used to do it all the time in San Diego. But they just, if they did make the playoffs, it'd be wild card round, and then lose or first round loss, something like that. But so far for the Colts, Philip Rivers doing well. He passed 29 for 44, 371 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Jonathan Taylor had 12 carries for 60 yards, and Trey Burton had 1 rush for a yard. He also had 4 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown. Oh, yeah, he had a rushing touchdown that was a yard, and a receiving touchdown. Marcus Johnson had 5 catches, 108 yards, and then Pascal, and Doyle had a touchdown each. They had a pretty good game for Philip Rivers and the Colts as they moved to 4-2. The Falcons and Vikings. The Falcons finally get their first win of the season. They won 40-23. There was a lot of, they got a big lead at one point. It was looking scary because the Falcons, but they held on to it. They held on to the lead, and they actually won a game. It's crazy. They had 3 interceptions off of Kirk Cousins. Deion Jones, Foyesade Aluakon, and A.J. Terrell all had a pick, and Bailey had a sack. Matt Ryan, he played well. He's also another guy that is a regular season guy. I believe the one year he won MVP, he went to the Super Bowl. But he always puts up good numbers, mainly because they're kind of like a Cowboy situation, especially right now, where they're always coming from behind. So, actually in the Falcons case, they always get up ahead a lot of points, where Matt Ryan does most of his damage. And the other team comes back, takes the lead, and then they have to end up throwing the ball for 4 possessions because they're losing. But Matt Ryan always puts up good numbers, mainly because the Falcons haven't really ever had a rushing offense since like Michael Turner. Devontae Freeman was okay when he was there. Todd Gurley's also doing okay, but Matt Ryan definitely is trying to show the GM why he should keep his job. He threw 30 for 40, 371 yards, and 4 touchdowns. No turnovers. Todd Gurley had 20 carries for 47 yards. And Julio Jones, I believe his first game back, had 8 catches, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns. So a crazy game for him in his return. Calvin Ridley, 6 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown. And Hayden Hurst had a touchdown. So the Falcons, usually a good regular season team, usually a wild card team usually. Not this year. It's looking bad. Unless they put on a run and Matt Ryan comes back into Super Bowl MVP form. Not Super Bowl MVP. MVP/Super Bowl form. We all know what happened in that Super Bowl. They could bring it back though. The Vikings, a team who's struggling as well. They had a good run last season. And, it's very odd to see this team struggle. They have such good players. On paper, they're a great team. They turn the ball over too much today. Or not today. In this one, 3 interceptions. That's never okay for a quarterback. And they just couldn't bring anything together. Their rushing game was non-existent, mainly because their starting running back wasn't there. They had a fumble recovery from Wilson and 2 sacks. Odenjabo had 1.5 and Johnson had 0.5. Kirk Cousins, he didn't play terrible, but 3 interceptions is real bad. He was 24 for 36, 343 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Alexander Madison played running back, 10 carries, 26 yards, because Dalvin Cook did not play. He injured his groin area last game. He did return in the game, but I'm assuming that's why he did not play in this one. Justin Jefferson had 9 catches, 166 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's a guy I thought was going to be one of the better wide receivers out of this class. I watched him at LSU. I thought he was insane. Super fast, and just torches defenses and can take that long ball. And, obviously, look, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns. Great route runner, great catching. I think he's going to be one of the better wide receivers in this class going forward. There are a lot of good ones. Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, Chase Claypool, the other kid, KJ Hamler. But Justin Jefferson is special. Adam Thielen had 3 catches, 51 yards, and a touchdown. So rough start for the Vikings. Hopefully they can bring something together. I don't really know what's not working for them. Kirk Cousins throwing 3 interceptions doesn't help, but I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. Broncos-Patriots. This one was a rough one to watch, especially as a Patriots fan. We just couldn't get anything going on offense. Just a stagnant offense, just nothing happening. And the Broncos had just a little bit more offense than we did. The Broncos win 18-12, and they moved to 2-3. They had 1 fumble recovery from Simmons. They also had 2 interceptions, 1 from Williams and 1 from Callahan. And all 18 of Denver's points, and I believe all 12 of our points, were kicks. Not a single touchdown was scored. No, not a single touchdown was scored in this game. It was all kicking. It was Brandon McManus was 6 for 6. Oh, that's a lie. I lied to you. The Patriots did score a touchdown. But the Broncos did not. They had all 18 points off of field goals. All 18 points off field goals. Brandon McManus. Drew Lock is back. 10 for 24, 189 yards, and 2 interceptions. He's not back the way we wanted, but 2 interceptions, 189 yards. 4 sacks for the Broncos. Reed had 2, Chubb had 1, and Chicolo had 1. Philip Lindsay, 23 carries, 101 yards, and Tim Patrick, 4 catches, 101 yards. Patriots fall to 2-3. Rough start to the season for my Patriots. They did have 2 interceptions from Jackson and Jones. Their defense is definitely not playing bad this season. The offense has just been stagnant, especially last week with Cam Newton out. And now Cam Newton didn't do much this game. They had 2 sacks, 1 from Simon, and then Bentley and Calhoun had 1 combined. Newton threw 17 for 25, 157 yards, 2 interceptions. He also had 10 carries, 76 yards, and a touchdown. Damian Harris, rough game, 6 carries, 19 yards, and James White was our leading receiver with 8 catches, 65 yards. Our running back was our leading receiver. I don't really even want to talk about that game anymore. It was a boring game. All field goals for Denver and 1 touchdown from New England where they missed the extra point. Moving on to Washington versus Giants. Man, I was really pulling for Washington in this one. I didn't want to see the Giants win a game, but they won. Washington lost 19-20. Lost by 1 point, man. Washington falls to 1-5. Fuller did have an interception. It seems like he has 1 or 2 every week, so he's been balling. And Ryan Kerrigan had a sack. Kyle Allen played. Still no Haskins. 31 for 42, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. J.D. McKissick ran the ball 8 times for 41 yards. And Terry McLaurin had 7 catches for 74 yards. The Giants win a game. They go to 1-5. Lots of 1-5 teams. The Falcons, the Texans, the Giants, the Washington. The Bengals are 1-4-1. The Eagles are 1-4-1. The Jets are 0-6. Lots of teams, 7 teams that I just counted off the top of my head who are really bad. So yeah. They had 1 fumble recovery from Crowder, 1 interception from Bradbury, and 3 sacks. Fackrell, Williams, and Ryan. Daniel Jones. I don't really know where to put Daniel Jones right now. He didn't even play good in this game. I don't know how they won. I mean, it's Washington, so that's probably how they won. He went 12 for 19, 112 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Devontae Freeman had 18 carries for 60 yards, and Darius Slayton had 2 catches, 41 yards, and a touchdown. You know, I want to believe in Daniel Jones. He's just not doing it, man. I don't know if it's time to move on already or what. I don't know. He's just not good. I don't know what to do. That's why I'm not a general manager of a team. Giants, good luck. Giants fans, good luck. All right. Ravens, Eagles. This was a close one. A big scare for the Ravens. They won 30-28 against the struggling Eagles. The Ravens improved to 5-1. They had 2 fumble recoveries, 1 from Clark and 1 from Smith, and they sacked Wentz 6 times. Marlon Humphrey had 1, Pernell McPhee had 1, Ward had 1, and Calais Campbell had 3. 3 sacks from Campbell. Lamar Jackson played all right. 16 for 27, 186 yards, 1 touchdown. 9 carries, 108 yards, and a touchdown. It's a pretty decent game for him. You know, he's not always the guy that's going to throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. You know, but he knows how to distribute the ball, and he's a very good runner. Dobbins had 9 carries for 28 yards, and Edwards had 14 carries for 26 yards and a touchdown. Hollywood Brown had 4 catches, 57 yards, and Nick Boyle had 3 catches, 33 yards, and a touchdown. So good game for the Ravens and the Ravens defense. The Eagles fall to 1-4-1. They sacked Jackson 3 times. Graham had 2 of them, Brandon Graham, and Jackson had 1. Jackson sacked Jackson. Carson Wentz, another guy that I don't know. He has games where he just plays terribly. And then he has games where he balls out of his mind. This game he didn't play bad, but they lost. He was 21 for 40, 213 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also 5 carries for 49 yards and a touchdown. You know, he can run, he can pass, he knows what he's doing. He's had some games where it's been rough. A few interceptions, not a lot of touchdowns, not a lot of offense. But I don't know. I think he might be scared. Because a lot of, you know, he's injury prone. You know, he's injury prone. He doesn't, you know, he gets sacked 6 times. That's terrifying. He must be terrified in the pocket. He got sacked 6 times by the Ravens. He gets sacked a lot. He gets rushed out of the pocket to run a lot. He just doesn't get a lot of time in the pocket. I don't know why. This Eagles line is, they're pretty good, aren't they? I thought they were pretty good. I thought they had a good offensive line. But, you know, when you get sacked 6 times, it's going to be scary. I'd be terrified if I was going against a defense that just sacked me 6 times. Or if I had to go up against a better defense next week after getting sacked 6 times by this defense. You know, he might be playing scared. He didn't play bad this game. But I just don't know if he's fully recovered from his injuries yet, like mentally. Because injuries take a toll on you mentally. It's not just injuries aren't just physical. Rehab, all that stuff sucks. So, it could still be screwing with him. Miles Sanders had 9 carries for 118 yards. That's efficient as heck. Travis Fulgham, 6 catches and 75 yards and a touchdown. And then Kroom, not really sure who that is, had 1 catch, 1 touchdown. So yeah, Carson Wentz, I don't know. I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know if he just sucks. I don't know. I don't think he sucks. You know, he was in MVP talks a couple seasons ago. He took this team to the playoffs after not making the playoffs the season before. Gets hurt. Nick Foles leads them to the playoffs and wins the Super Bowl. You know, would have Nick Foles made it to the playoffs with the Eagles? I don't know. But Carson Wentz made it there, got hurt, and then Nick Foles finished it. I don't know. I'm sticking with Wentz for now. I like Wentz. I don't think he's bad. I just don't think he's, fully recovered from his injury mentally. Who knows? Browns Steelers. This was a bad one, and people were ripping into Mayfield after this, and honestly, I'm about to too. The Steelers won 38-7. Could have been worse. Steelers had possessions prior that they could have scored more points, but they didn't. The Browns fall to 4-2, so still not terrible on the C's. But a tough loss here. I don't know where they go from here. They had 2 sacks. Myles Garrett had 1, and then Goodson and Redwine combined for 1. Baker Mayfield. I think he played the first half. Was really bad. 10 for 18, 119 yards. Their solo touchdown and 2 interceptions. And then they put in Case Keenum. Maybe it was the third quarter, because Case Keenum went 5 for 10 for 46 yards. Kareem Hunt, 13 carries, 40 yards, and Rashad Higgins had Baker's touchdown. It was a 13-yard catch. Let's go through the Steelers, and then I'll bag on Baker Mayfield. Steelers, 5-0. 5-0. I like the Steelers. I have a couple good friends. My best friend is a Steelers fan. And then one of my other good friends is also a Steelers fan. So you guys are both watching. Shout out. 5-0. That's crazy. Let's go. Let's go Steelers. 2 interceptions. Minka had 1 for 6. He housed it. And Sutton had 1. 4 sacks. 2 from Bud Dupree. 1 from Sutton. And then 1 from Tuitt and Bush had combined for 1. Let's get out of the way now. Devin Bush tore his ACL. I know. That's huge. Huge. That's their linebacker. He was going to be one of the better linebackers in the league. He was their next Ryan Shazier. And that sucks that he's torn his ACL. But hey, comeback's always bigger than a setback. Am I right? So looking forward to him coming back next season. He's an insane young linebacker, and you Steelers fans, you have a good one. Ben Roethlisberger, still balling. This game was pretty lackluster, but they didn't really need him too much. But 14 for 22, 162 yards and a touchdown. James Conner, 20 carries, 101 yards, touchdown. And Benny Snell had 6 carries for 17 yards and a touchdown. Chase Claypool, 4 catches, 74 yards. 2 carries, 7 yards and a touchdown. And James Washington had Ben's touchdown. He had 4 catches, 68 yards and the touchdown. Let's talk about Steelers a little bit. I love them. The young defense is insane. Minus Devin Bush now, unfortunately. Young defense is insane. Minka Fitzpatrick, T.J. Watt. They got veteran guys: Stephon Tuitt, Cam Hayward, Bud Dupree. They got Joe Hayden. Really good team. Really, really good team right here. They got playmakers everywhere too. For Ben Roethlisberger, they got James Washington, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, James Conner, Benny Snell in the backfield. Man, insane. They got a great offense and a great defense. So I'm looking forward to a Steelers run here in the future. Continuing the run they're on. Browns, Baker Mayfield. Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman destroyed him. Saying that he's not a good quarterback. They need to move on. He's spending too much time worrying about his commercials, and he is trying to play football. Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry need to get out. Anybody with talent, they said, needs to get out. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Myles Garrett, anybody. They said they all need to get out or get a new quarterback. They're 4-2. They're winning. He had a bad game. I've never really thought Baker Mayfield was gonna be that good. I don't know. I'm not a general manager, but Baker Mayfield has been sucking. And although they're 4-2, I'd have to look back, but I see Odell Beckham having a rushing touchdown for 52 yards. I see Jarvis Landry throwing Odell Beckham a touchdown for 40 yards. I see Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb killing it, and just Baker Mayfield not doing much. Throwing a lot of interceptions, not a lot of touchdowns. Let me see. How many interceptions to touchdowns does Baker have right now? Let me see. Because it's 10-6. 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So not bad. Not terrible. Says he's questionable from the last game. So is that why they took him out? Did he get hurt? Or did they just bench him? Under the notification I got when I was watching it, is that he got benched. Not that he was hurt, that he got benched. I don't know if that's true. But, yeah, that's what I heard. So first game, 1-1. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. 2-0, 2-0. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He just his interceptions are just interesting throws that don't need to be made. I don't understand why he makes them. I don't know. They have pieces that they should be winning with. One of the best wide receivers in the NFL 2 years ago. A really, really good wide receiver. Great running back pair, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. A good defense. Good young defense. And they couldn't put it together against the Steelers. Although Steelers defense, one of the best. One of the best defenses in the league. I think maybe the best defense in the league. So, I don't fault them too much. Bears-Panthers, let's move on. Bears won 23-16. Bears moved to 5-1 since Nick Foles has started. I believe that Nick Foles did have their loss. Did have their one loss. Let me see. So he's played in 4 games, and yeah, he did lose against the Colts. But yeah, here we are now against the Panthers, and they won. They had 1 fumble recovery, the Bears. They moved 5-1. 1 fumble recovery from Akeem Hicks. 2 interceptions off Bridgewater from Gibson and Houston, and then 4 sacks. 1 from Edwards, 1 from Nichols, 1 from Mack, and then Mingo and Vaughters combined for 1. Nick Foles, 23 for 39. Completion. 198 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. He also had 5 carries, 4 yards, and a touchdown. So, David Montgomery, 19 carries for 58 yards. Allen Robinson had 5 catches for 53 yards. And Cole Kmet had 2 catches, 20 yards, and a touchdown. The Panthers fall to 3-3. They won 3 in a row, and then they lost this one. They had 1 interception from Chin. And Bridgewater, 16 for 29, 216 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mike Davis, who's filling in really well for McCaffrey, 18 carries, 52 yards, and a touchdown. DJ Moore had 5 catches, 93 yards. And Robbie Anderson had 4 catches for 77 yards. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about this game. Except, good for the Bears. They're 5-1. And they are 4-1. Or 3-1 since benching Trubisky. What are they going to do with Trubisky? Speaking of that, he's young. Is he just going to be their backup? He's just going to rot on the bench for the rest of the season? Or are you going to trade him? He might have some trade value. He's better than probably a couple quarterbacks. I'd have him over Daniel Jones. I'd have him over, Joe Flacco, I guess. I was going to say Sam Darnold, but maybe not. But Joe Flacco's playing, so. Well, we're moving on. Lions, Jags. Lions won 34-16. They are now 2-3. Akwara had a fumble recovery. They had 1 interception from Harmon, and Trey Flowers had a sack. Matthew Stafford played okay. 19 for 31, 223 yards and a touchdown and an interception. DeAndre Swift, 14 carries, 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Adrian Peterson had 15 carries, 40 yards, and a touchdown. Galladay had 4 catches, 105 yards. And Hawkinson had 2 catches, 17 yards, and a touchdown. The Jags, another 1-5 team. This one I didn't think of right off the top of my head, but another 1-5 team. They had 1 interception from Schobert. That's it. And then Gardner Minshew played okay, 25 for 44, 243 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He also had a rushing touchdown on 3 carries for 14 yards. James Robinson had 12 carries, 29 yards, 4 catches, 24 yards, and a touchdown receiving. Keelan Cole had 6 catches, 143 yards, and DJ Chark had 7 catches, 45 yards in his game back. Jags, Lions. Yeah. Lions. DeAndre Swift, I think, will be a pretty decent pickup for them. He had that one unfortunate event where he dropped the touchdown in week 1 or 2. So, that was unfortunate. But, came back in this game looking beastly. And then the Jags, 1-5. I like Gardner Minshew. I don't think he's bad. I just think the Jags are bad. And, he's got receivers. Keelan Cole, DJ Chark, James Robinson's looking really good. So, I don't think they're going to be too bad for that long. Someone who is going to be bad for that long, Jets versus Dolphins. The Jets are now 0-6. 0-6, rough start for Jets fans. 2 interceptions, one from Poole and one from May. 2 sacks from Huff and Basham. Like I said, Joe Flacco played. Sam Darnold did not. 21 for 44, 186 yards and a pick from Flacco. Frank Gore, 11 carries, 46 yards. And Brashad Perriman, 4 catches, 62 yards. Obviously, they scored 0 points. No kind of offense from them. Really no defense either, besides the 2 interceptions. The Dolphins improved to 3-3. So bringing it back, they're better than the Patriots. Record-wise, that was the word. They had 1 interception from Xavier Howard and 2 sacks. Ogba had 2, and Christian Wilkins had 1. Ryan Fitzpatrick was 18 for 27, 191 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And Tua got some playing time at the end of the game. He was only 2 for 2 for 9 yards. It was literally at the end of the game, the last drive of the game. And there was a very powerful picture of him sitting on the field after the game was over. You know, just taking in the moment. It was unreal. You want to put yourself in his shoes. That must have felt crazy. And it's also crazy sitting in an empty stadium by yourself. That's crazy. Myles Gaskin, 18 carries, 91 yards. Shaheen had 5 catches, 51 yards, and a touchdown. And Williams and Smythe each had a touchdown. So the Jets are terrible. Jets are really bad with or without Sam Darnold. Their defense is bad. Their own line is bad. Frank Gore isn't Frank Gore anymore. They got rid of Le'Veon Bell. Their receivers are bad. Besides Jamison Crowder, he's the only light in the tunnel for them. Sam Darnold's not bad. He's just hurt, not playing. I don't know if this team's going to win a game. They have 10 more, so we'll see. But I don't think they're going to win a game. Packers-Bucks. Finally, Aaron Rodgers had a bad game. You want to say I hate Aaron Rodgers. You're right. I do. No, I don't know. I think Packers fans have made me hate Aaron Rodgers because they're like, oh, he's the GOAT. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. No, I'd have to think about it. He's not top 5. Maybe top 10. I'd have to think about it. Obviously, best QBR in NFL history. Whatever. Cool. He's got 1 Super Bowl. He's been to 1 Super Bowl. He constantly makes it to the playoffs on the back of a running game and a good defense. The season he won the Super Bowl, they had the best defense in the NFL. They had 4 All-Pro defensive players and 6 Pro Bowlers and 2 All-Pro wide receivers that year. So, I hate when people call Aaron Rodgers the best quarterback ever. I think Aaron Rodgers is the most overrated quarterback ever. Top 10, maybe. Definitely not top 5, and definitely not the best. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Joe Montana, I'll take Russell Wilson all time over Aaron Rodgers. Bart Starr, Brett Favre. Maybe not Brett Favre. The greatest Packers quarterback of all time. Anyways, the Packers fall to 4-1. Rodgers play bad. 16 for 35, 160 yards, 2 interceptions. Aaron Jones, 10 carries, 15 yards and a touchdown. And Devontae Adams had 6 catches, 61 yards. The Buccaneers improved to 4-2. They had 2 interceptions, one from Dean, which was returned for a touchdown, and one from Edwards. They had 5 sacks, one from Devin White, 1.5 from Levante David, 1.5 from Jason Pierre-Paul, and 1 from Ndamukong Suh. The Bucks also have an insane defense. Like, Devin White, Levante David, Jason Pierre-Paul, and Ndamukong Suh. Those guys all got sacks. That's insane. That's an insane defense. Brady, 17 for 27, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ronald Jones, 23 carries, 113 yards, 2 touchdowns. Gronk had a touchdown. He had 5 catches, 78 yards along with it. And Johnson had 1 catch, 7 yards, 1 touchdown. It's a good game from Brady and Ronald Jones. Gronk came through. And yeah, the Bucks improved to 4-2 on the season. Rams Niners. The Rams lose 16-24. I thought the Rams would come through with this one. The Niners have been looking a little lackluster the past few games, but Rams came out and it looked pretty stagnant, honestly. Jared Goff, the Rams go to 4-2. Jared Goff, 19 for 38, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. I like Jared Goff. I think he's a solid quarterback. I think he can definitely lead a team through a playoff run. Henderson had 14 carries, 88 yards. Josh Reynolds had 2 catches, 45 yards, and a touchdown. I hope he breaks out. I have a rookie card of his signed. So I've been looking for him to make a breakout season. Maybe 10 touchdowns, break 1,000 yards, something like that. Maybe, probably not, but we'll see. And Robert Woods, 4 catches, 29 yards, and a touchdown. The 49ers improved to 3-3. Jason Verrett had an interception. And then Garoppolo played well. And, last game he was benched mid-game. And I guess he took that personally because he played super well. 23 for 33, 268 yards, 3 touchdowns. Raheem Mostert had 17 carries, 65 yards. George Kittle, 7 carries, 109 yards, and a touchdown. Deebo Samuel, 6 receptions, 66 yards, and a touchdown. And then Brandon Ayuk had a catch for 12 yards and a touchdown. That was all for Sunday games. We have 2 Monday games. We're going to start off with Chiefs and Bills. The Chiefs sneak by with the 9-point win, 26-17. In the beginning, it looked like it was going to be a pretty back-and-forth game where, if the Chiefs got stopped, the Bills would get stopped. If the if the Chiefs scored, the Bills score. Just stuff like that. It was a decent game all through and through, all being said, and the final score being the way it is. The Chiefs just played like the Chiefs. The Chiefs improved to 5-1, and they did have an interception from Daniel Sorensen right at the end of the game too. Kind of put the game away for him. Patrick Mahomes had 21 for 26, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns. Edwards-Helaire had a pretty good game, 26 carries for 161 yards. Pretty good for him. Damian Williams. Oh, it was Damian Williams. Darrell Williams. I was like, I thought Damian Williams didn't play this season. Darrell Williams. 6 carries, 26 yards, and a touchdown. Demarcus Robinson, 5 catches, 69 yards. And Travis Kelce, 5 catches, 65 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The Bills fall to 4-2. It's the Chiefs. They did have a fumble recovery from Josh Norman, and they had 1 sack from Mario Addison. Josh Allen played okay. He didn't have the amount of yards you'd like to see Josh Allen having. He was 14 for 27, 122 yards. Pretty lackluster on the yards. 2 touchdowns and a pick. Devin Singletary, 10 carries, 32 yards. Diggs had 6 catches, 46 yards, and a touchdown. And Beasley had 4 catches for 45 yards and a touchdown. So all in all, Josh Allen might not have the game he wanted. He did throw an interception at the end of the game there. But I think both teams played well. Both teams played pretty good, and it was a pretty good game. Moving on to the Monday night game, Cardinals-Cowboys, absolute demolition by the Cardinals. Not as bad as... Actually, they won 38-10. It might be as bad as the game we've seen. Cardinals improved to 4-2. They had 2 fumble recoveries, one from Phillips, one from Murphy. They also had 2 interceptions off of Dalton, one from Drake Kirkpatrick and one from Budda Baker. And they had 3 sacks, one from Budda Baker, and 2 from Hassan Reddick. Kyler Murray didn't throw the ball as much. Well, not necessarily he didn't throw the ball. He didn't complete the ball very well. He was only 9 for 24. But in his 9 completions, he had 188 yards and 2 touchdowns. So what else can you ask for? He also carried the ball 10 times for 74 yards and a touchdown. And Kenyon Drake played really well. He had a really good game for him. 20 carries, 164 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That right there is crazy. 164 yards, 2 touchdowns. Wild. DeAndre Hopkins had 2 catches, 73 yards, and Christian Kirk had 2 catches, 86 yards, and 2 touchdowns, including one 80-yard touchdown and one 6-yard touchdown. Cowboys fall to 2-4. They had 1 sack from Brown. And then Andy Dalton, losing Dak Prescott sucks. Doesn't look like they really went away from their offense. Andy Dalton threw the ball 54 times, completed 34, 266 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Ezekiel Elliott had 12 carries, 49 yards, and he fumbled the ball twice. And Amari Cooper had 7 catches, 79 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then CeeDee Lamb had 7 catches, 64 yards. Rough game for the Cowboys. Rough week for Cowboys fans with the injury to Dak Prescott and whatnot. And now Zeke fumbles the ball twice. Just a rough game for them all in all. Sorry, Cowboys fans. Might be a rough one without Dak for the season. I thought Andy Dalton could do it. Run this offense. It's not that hard. He was a starting quarterback for however long with the Bengals. Who knows? But that game was a bad one against the Cardinals. So that was the last game of football for this podcast. Seahawks didn't play, but they are probably still number 1 for me. Chiefs are probably 2. I'd probably put Steelers up there at 3. Ravens are up there. I think the Bills are on Titans 4 or 5. Ravens 4 or 5. Rounds out my top 5. I think Seahawks, Chiefs, Steelers, Titans, Ravens. And then, teams like the Bills, I think, are still up there. The Browns even are still up there. They're 4-2. Not bad. They're not a bad team. Yeah. Bottom, Jets, worst team in the league. Giants, 2nd. I want to go Jags, 3rd worst. And the Falcons, and the Texans. I think the Falcons and Texans both can win games. Obviously, the Falcons just won, but they're 1-5. They're playing really bad, and that's why they're in the bottom for now. I think they could both win games. They're just not doing it. A little news now. We don't have much basketball, but we do have some basketball news. A bunch of just coaching stuff. Free agency starts some point, and once free agency starts getting cooking, I'll be throwing that in there too. But for now, the Clippers hired Tyronn Lue to be their head coach. He was 123-83 with the Cavs, 3 finals appearances and 1 title thanks to LeBron James. And Chauncey Billups will also join Tyronn Lue. He will be the lead assistant coach. Daryl Morey stepped down as the Rockets GM, and they promoted Raphael Stone, who was the executive vice president. He is now the general manager. And the 76ers added Dave Yeager to their coach staff to work with Doc Rivers, or Glenn Rivers. Because, as he said, there's only one Doc in Philly, and that's Dr. J. Jets release Le'Veon Bell. No, that's all we had for NBA, by the way. Jets release Le'Veon Bell. I don't know. They were looking to trade him, but then later, the same day they said they were going to trade him, they released him. And none other than the Chiefs signed him. So, Chiefs signed Le'Veon Bell to a 1-year deal. They just got to have all the best players. Devin Bush tore his ACL. We talked about that. Taylor Lewan also announced that he tore his ACL, which is tough. I don't know what exactly he plays, but that's one of the Titans' better linemen. And finally the Dolphins named Tua the starting quarterback. 6 weeks in, interesting. Fitzpatrick just won 26-0, throwing 3 touchdowns. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is more happy for Tua than anything. His reaction for Tua going into the game was so wholesome and just like a proud father. Because I guarantee you Ryan Fitzpatrick has been teaching him everything he knows. And he's ready. I think he's ready. And they decided to start him. So they're deciding to start him next week. And we're going to see how that goes. I'm rooting for him, for sure. After that crazy hip injury, it's kind of hard. It's a little scary. Just like Wentz. And then we're going to wrap it up with some college football. Few upsets today, this weekend. Clemson beat the crap out of Georgia Tech 73-7. Trevor Lawrence was nearly perfect, 404 yards, 5 touchdowns in the first half. He didn't play the second half. Alabama whopped Georgia 41-24. That was a 2-3 matchup. Mac Jones had 417 yards and 4 touchdowns. Notre Dame barely beats Louisville 12-7. Florida State, baby. Let's go. Seminoles beat North Carolina. Number 5, North Carolina. Lost to Florida State, unranked. 31-28. Good game for Florida State there. Let's go. Texas A&M beats Mississippi State 28-14. They're ranked number 11. Number 13, Miami beats Pitt 31-19. BYU, number 14, beats Houston 43-26. BYU's quarterback Wilson had 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Auburn, number 15, Auburn loses to South Carolina 30-22. Undefeated, number 17, SMU barely beat Tulane 37-34. Number 18, Tennessee gets embarrassed by unranked Kentucky. Kentucky had 2 pick sixes in this game. Tennessee lost 7-34. Coastal Carolina upsets number 21 Louisiana 30-27. and Virginia Tech beat the crap out of Boston College 40-14. And Virginia Tech was ranked number 23. We had a few games postponed. Florida LSU was postponed. And a couple others that I don't care about. But yeah, that's the podcast. Pretty much just an hour. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody tuning in, sharing, liking, subscribing, all that. It really means the world to me to be doing this. This is something I love. This is something I've always wanted to do, and I'm doing it. So we're getting somewhere with it, hopefully. And yeah, like I said last time, I want to start branching out the channel. I was actually thinking about recording something tomorrow. I was thinking about it yesterday. Just kind of ran out of time and some things came in the way. But I might record a video, honestly, right after this. We might know. You never know. Or tomorrow. I don't know. I'm gonna start trying to branch it out. But yeah, that was Talking Ball number 12. 12, man, that's crazy. Thanks for all the support. I should whack my mic. Thanks for all the support and all the love on the podcast. And I'll see you all next week. Peace.